If I any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rules, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hey homies, what's up? Ryan Wynn here with another episode of Late Night INKS. I'd like to welcome back our same guest as last night. We have Mishka here from Divinity 2. She is sort of the bad girl to the first series. The main character in that, she's the bad girl to his good guy. Now you can see, if you were with us last night, you can see I've already inked this eye and the energy coming from it. I didn't feel there was a need to do both when we're trying to keep these videos under 15 minutes or so. My brush is already loaded up. I'm sharpening it on the edge of the jar. I have a little board that I dab off a little of the ink on. And then we're ready to get going. Now sometimes I'll pick a black spot here if I see there's still a little too much moisture on the edge of the brush. Now I got to remember that that's there, which is why I usually use the brush use the board that's off camera. But we're gonna keep that in mind. Remember that that's there. So get framed up and away we go. I've already been warming up, so my brush has got a nice sharp tip. Being very responsive today. Anybody remember my brush's name? If you remember without going back and looking, leave the answer below. So when I ink the eyes are very important. I like to start with that top eyelid. And then we're going to do where that eyelid sort of meets the underside of the brow. And I like to do very thin lines on the eyelid sometimes to sort of indicate just a tonal shift. You can see I did it on the other eye. It doesn't really look like wrinkles, so I think it kind of looks cool. And then we're going to bear down heavy and make sort of a C shape there for that eye. Now this round of lines underneath, you can see I'm doing 4 there. I'm going to break it up into sections. Try to continue it if I can. If they don't line up perfect, that's okay. Just keep the confidence there. That's almost just as important. Now I want to do the eyelashes like we did there, so I'm going to bear down a little, do a little one, and each one we're going to do a little bigger than the last. There we go. Now we're going to continue down with the nose. All right, so that's wet. Our wet area down here is now dry, so let's double check. Yep, boom, we're good. This looks like this is all dry, but I don't want to mess up that eye at all. So we're going to move down here to the nose. Now see, I just did like a bunch of little lines just to make that little shape. Don't think every line you make has to be a one shot, one and done. Especially on this board, as I said in the previous video, it's an older sketch cover, so it's been pressed down or burnished down. So the paper is more glossy than you want it to be, even though I like smooth paper. But it doesn't want to accept the moisture in the ink or the water. So I go over a couple times just to make sure things are dark. And I want to have one side of the nose have a little more of a shadow. Keep these nice and thin. Remember this whole time, if you're not yapping away like I am, you want to be breathing calmly and steadily. At your own rate. Inking is sort of a meditation or yoga, so you want to have good posture. You don't want to be hunching over at all if possible. I should do some pictures or some illustrations, or if I have time, it'd be cool to do it animated. Now to sort of show you my posture when I'm inking and drawing. I actually have a different posture when I'm inking than when I am penciling. Okay, so we've got her nose, mouth, eyes done, eyelashes. This is all for sure dry now, so I can go in and we can do these. They're sort of the folds and wrinkles in the lip, but it's also the shadow side of the lip. I like to make it a little bit stylized as well. Just like the rest of the piece, it's not very realistic, it's stylized. Now these I like to make quick. Some lines you make slow. We're gonna be making some slow lines in a minute. But these little guys I like to make quick. And that one went a little thicker than planned, but that's okay. And then we're gonna do a little series of lines for a shadow under that lip. There we go, that's looking pretty good. We're doing really good on time. Maybe I should have left the second eye for us. All right, loading up the brush. And I forgot to mention at the top of the video, but as usual, you want to load your brush up. You want to dip about halfway to 2/3, and then I wipe off a little bit like this on the inside of the jar, and then I may do a few swipes on a little board that I have to the side. So you want to always have control of the amount of ink or moisture on your brush. And same with yourself, so I'm going to drink a little water. Now we've let that dry, that's dry. Let's get into these energy lines. Brush is loaded up, brush is sharp, ready to go. So we're going to do this line. So remember, I want the line to end over here roughly. So that's where I'm going to, my relaxed position. Then I'm going to pull back, almost like winding up, bear down a little, and spring out of it like that. And then I'll do a little thin one to join that one up. See, that's risky going that way. You might be more comfortable if you took that one this way, but you know what? I'm the ink king, and that's the way we roll. So these are going to be some of the slow lines. I'm going to move slow and quick on parts of them. And right now I kind of want to do the undersides, which even though this is glowing energy, it kind of helps, at least I like to give dimension to it. So the underside is going to be heavier than the top sides. And nothing's perfect, you know, it's a sketch cover. I've got it bouncing up. I got to hold it down so it doesn't spring up on you like that. You could tape it shut, but you know what? That's what a kid would do. Gotta ink like a man. All right, we're gonna start doing the thinner sides now because the brush has used up some ink, but we can bear down and do this all in one piece. See, that was slow doing the curve, and then I went quick on the exit like that. We can meet up these guys here. And the brush is sort of curving this way right now, so I'm going to give it a little twist so I can do this in one move. There you go. And here, you can do this kind of stuff too. Go thick to thin, and then just do that heavy side that way. So the brush is really versatile. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Again, like I always say, it is tons and tons of practice, but it's totally worth it. It's unlike anything else. Inking with a pen or a marker and inking digitally, it's very similar. And I like all of those things, but there's nothing like inking with a brush. Well, I guess the closest thing is some of the brush markers that have long bristles that you can't feel when they're hitting. But like markers, pens, digital, the whole process is about feeling that pressure, and you don't feel that with a brush. And that's one of the things I like more about it as far as the experience and the process. Excuse me. All right, we got a couple more here to do. We'll be closing up the flames and we can get to some of the rendering. These are just going to be thin lines because they're dissipating little flames. All right, let's take a look at that for a second. That's me washing off the brush and the ink jar water. I wipe off a little of the water on the inside of the ink well before dipping in. Just kind of gives a little bit of extra water in there. And then, yeah, dip the brush, sharpen that brush, and let's get into, excuse me, let's get into some of this rendering we have here. Some of the cross-hatching. They're sort of even weight on the lines. We're not going to do heavy diamond lines. We're going to keep them relatively thin. So I am going to take my brush and do a bunch of wipes on the extra board I have over to the side. So now I'm realizing I need to eventually show my whole process. Which, not that you have to copy me, but it helps to see other people's process. Okay, the brush is nice and sharp. We are in frame. Let's do some rendering here. Now this represents the shadows behind her neck. And I sort of want this to be like a gray tone in the image. We've got a lot of white space, we've got some black chunks, and I want this to sort of be the gray in the tonal shifts that we will do, even though it's just a subtle sketch. So I call it rendering and or cross-hatching, because sometimes there is cross-hatching, such as here, and sometimes there isn't. And even right now, I'm realizing that I should probably do a video explaining rendering and cross-hatching separately. But that's why I do some of these videos. I'm trying to learn what I know and what's useful to pass on. And sometimes you just gotta try making the video and doing the inking. And then I gotta listen to you guys. Gotta listen to you guys. But your guys' feedback has been invaluable. It's been great. I got the idea for the ink-alongs, which now I realized today that this should have been an ink-along. And who knows, maybe I have put a link below with an image for you to ink along. But I wish I had thought of that sooner. I was thinking, I'll do another one next week. I don't want to, annoy people with the, hey, let's do another ink along. But more than almost a handful of people mentioned that they would have liked to do an ink along on this. So we will definitely do more ink alongs. I didn't realize people were going to like that. All right, so these circular shapes, which are sort of these lights that she's got in her costume, those are very similar to these energy crackle lines, but totally different things. But it's all the same. It's all the same lines. All right, let's finish up the rendering on this ear. I had fun doing this cross hatching on here, so I've been looking forward to this section. And the stuff I'm always looking forward to in the pieces is always things like this that end up going so quickly. I don't tend to put a whole lot of cross-hatching or shading into my work. Maybe I should do more since I like doing it, but I like keeping things limited too. I want to have just a little bit of cross-hatching, a little bit of rendering, and I want it to be done really well. All right, we're going to close up this secondary shadow there. And I think we are done. We're under 15 minutes. We did the eyes. We did the crackling energy. We did her nose and her mouth there. We did all the rendering. Got a little spot there. We got a white out, but that's okay. I may just bold up that line. So I think we can sign this bad boy. Let's get our sign and marker out. And I can let you go. Class dismissed after this. Alright, there is Mishka from Divinity 2. I will probably put this up in my Store Envy shop. I don't push that much. I just recently started putting new things up there every Wednesday. Sort of a new comic books from Ryan thing. I either put, I have Gods and Gears issues there that are signed, and I have sketch covers that I'm putting up as well. Gonna come up with some other fun things, little prints and collector cards and things like that as well. So, let me know if you watched this video and if you wanted to do an ink along on something like this, if this is the kind of thing you want to do, and I will put that into consideration. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take it easy. And if you haven't already, head over to alternaaccess.com and check out the book I wrote, Gods and Gears, with art by Dean Kotz and letters by Wes Loker. Issue 4 is out soon.
Stupid cat.
Newsprint. It's a hell of a drug.